feel like Adam Schefter finishing my tweet right when the camera comes back on. How's it going, guys? Welcome back to the ESR Daily Update. Of course, we are talking the top 5 upsets from Call of Duty Championships. Watching the entire event from outside the venue with SmitingFatty. And Smiting, I know you were watching lots of streams this weekend. First off, before we dive into the upsets, what were some of your favorite matches from the weekend?
Oh, man. You know, actually, I wrote them down because we talked about it earlier. And then yesterday, you jumped the gun on me. You had 4 of the 5 I wrote down, which I thought was crazy. But what
was your 5th one that I didn't have on my top 5?
The one that you didn't have, let me look. It was FaZe SK. It was the Search.
The Search was just as good as that Blitz. You're right.
Yeah, the Search was awesome, especially, Proofy picking up that MTAR, getting the kill there in the closet, and then able to defuse the bomb. I mean, that was just like nick of timing right there. And then the 2-piece by JCap, sealing them, pushing them forward onto victory into the Blitz next game, which you had. But I think the craziest game I saw was that NVSB S&D. I don't think even
the blowout.
The blowout. All the AM tournaments I've ever casted, I've never seen anything like that. Never.
It was kind of brutal. If you guys missed it, I know all the VOD is now going up on youtube.com/MLGCOD, so check that out. Very surprising though, to see Envy fall to strictly business in the upper bracket, and then in that lower bracket, kind of trounce him. It was kind of brutal on that Warhawk. I felt bad watching it yesterday.
Yeah, it was crazy. My boy UMG Hitch, though, he said the Vex versus Orbit game, that was his favorite. And I actually watched that.
He actually watched the Canadians versus the UK boys.
Yeah, I ended up watching it later on, and Vex is just a strong team. My boy Pittsburgh, I've known him for a while, and we knew this team was going to be good, but top 8, pretty dang good.
Pretty solid. I mean, for the Canadians to come out and represent, I know they were very happy to finish in the money. Kind of surprising, actually, for me to see them coming out of that group because the group was so stacked. But then once they were there, they took advantage of it, went all the way into the money. I think they took 25 grand home for that top 8 finish. And I wanted you to keep an eye on Mech. He was actually the one from the squad. He was he's the captain, he's the objective player, and he's really surrounded himself with some great slayers. Slumber, I think, was a player on the leaderboard that I took note of. Keep your eye out for him. Were there any other teams other than Vex Revenge that kind of caught your eye this weekend?
Well, T1 Daughters, how could they not catch anybody's eye? Like, I have casted with some of the Australian casters before, like Dr. Curry, like Bioacids, and they all said, watch out for that team. And I think both the teams, Immunity also came out very strong. And those 2 teams by far were the shockers of the whole tournament.
Now, I have a question for you. After seeing how strong that teams like SK from Germany and how strong some of the UK squads were at S&D, especially the Australian teams, Immunity and of Trident T1 Daughters, how good they were at Search and Destroy, do you think the American Search and Destroy game is very good? And if so, who is the best team at S&D at the moment?
Oh, goodness gracious. I think we Americans, I think we could do a little bit better on S&D. Part of the reason is Australia, their whole comp is based off of S&D, and for a long time they've done 5v5 S&D. So there's a lot of different strategies that go into it that they use. But for here in America, it's hard. I would say Envy has a really strong S&D, mainly because of Nameless. When you can get a couple 3-pieces every S&D, that you're gonna win.
Yeah, Nameless was kind of a superhero at Call of Duty Championships, especially when he's in those 1-on-3 situations. Also, I got to credit Study. I was watching him in quite a few sniping battles, and he rarely lost that 1-on-1. Even Formal put away the sniper, tried to charge him on Octane. I remember watching that one, and Study just shut him down at short range. So Study, I definitely think, was a game changer in the S&D, and I'll agree with you that Envy, definitely a top team. I thought Complexity's S&D was pretty solid as well. They did get taken to or round 11 several times, but other than that Optic matchup, they would kind of win that round 11 9 times out of 10. Overall, though, I think we're slacking. I think our S&D is weak. I think the American teams, that's something that they should have noticed this past weekend compared to everyone else from around the world and work on, because you could definitely see that they're putting the time in on domination and blitz. Very strong games there. But S&D, they were vulnerable. In Game 5, it's search and destroy every time. Smiting, from the top teams that we watched and then some of the surprising upsets, I wanted to ask you about Rise Nation, because this is a team that I didn't have on my list, but I know they were the squad that eliminated TCM from the tournament. What did you think about Rise Nation's run to the top 8?
Well, I was really shocked when they did so well in the regionals. And I said, I was on Kingdom Soldiers show, and I said they were going to take top 4. So they didn't do as well as I thought they were, but they're still a very strong team. And, I hope these guys stick together, because I think we could see something special out of those 4 guys. But, TCM, I was watching, a little bit before the show, and TCM, it was so strong on so many different levels. So it's very impressive that Rise was able to take them out.
Yeah, I really like what I'm seeing out of Pac-Man. He's kind of an in-game leader as well as that OBJ player. Some really great. I don't know if you've ever watched Looney before the U.S. Championships, but he kind of opened up my eyes there with his long-range MTAR. Like, really freaking AR range MTAR shot. He is one of the best I saw. Also could do it at short range. And then Wheats was kind of the X factor for me. He would either be going like 9-13, or he's like, I'm 14-3 right now. So really awesome players on Rise Nation. Like you said, I hope they stay together. And I've told that they are playing with teams like Xfinity through the play-in tournament this Saturday. That's going to be broadcast right here on MLG.TV. Who are some of the squads that you think could make it into Season 2, some of the teams that are not in that top 10 list right now?
Oh, like in Anaheim? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, so basically we have a bracket this week in an online tournament with 16 teams. Okay. 2 of them will advance into CoD Season 2. And then, of course, the top 8, I think it is, at CoD Season 2 will get the slots in the bracket at Anaheim. I guess, are there any teams, to simplify this, are there any teams outside of the current CoD Season 1 league that you would keep an eye on?
Oh, goodness. Oh.
I'm putting you on the spot here, but I'm trying to think myself, and I know Saints team is actually looking pretty good with Slacked and Huddle now on that lineup for Vex. Xfinity, we know how strong they could be.
What about Curse Youth? I mean, they just picked up Miyagi. Miyagi, to me, is, he's a superstar. He might not get a lot of the recognition, but I've been watching him for just about a year now when he first started out on Rivalcaster. And he started doing some things in S&D that I was like, what are you doing? And then it worked out. And then all of a sudden, pros are starting to do the same thing. So I think he's a person that can really make a difference. And you've seen, he's been on teams that have taken out Optic. They took out Optic in Philly.
Yeah, UMG there.
Yeah.
And what's Miyagi's playstyle for those who don't know him, the new pickup for Cursed Youth?
Oh, I don't even know if you could say he has a playstyle. He's kind of I would almost say like a hybrid player. He can slay if he wants to. He can play the objective. He's mostly a sub player, but he can do just about anything in my eyes. And I think this could be what helps Curse Youth, push back up into the league again. Because I guess they placed at the bottom, right?
Yeah, they were at number 10. So I think they could come rising back up.
Yeah.
One team I am looking forward to, I hope they're in this bracket this weekend, is Spacely and John. They, of course, were teammates with Enable and Miyagi before Miyagi left the squad. I hope that they find a fourth and play through, because I honestly thought Miyagi made a mistake. When he told me yesterday that he's going to Curse Youth, I thought the squad that you just left has so much potential. I put Enable right up there with Formal. Not many people know about Enable, but he has the same story. came from Halo, amazing Slayer, learning the game very quickly, not necessarily as good as Forma was at the US Championships, but look out for that team. Look out for Vex as well with Slackton Huddle. So, of course, that is going to come up this weekend on Saturday. You guys can watch that 16-team double elimination bracket to determine the top 2 that will advance into Season 2. But let's move on now to talk about the Call of Duty Championships. Smiting Fatty, I want to bring you on one last moment to get your final thoughts on COD Champs and tell me, where can people find you?
Well, my final thoughts were it was an amazing production. I loved the whole thing. I thought the venue, I almost drove down. Like, I was so close to driving down. I just couldn't get the wife to get off work to go with me, but I was so close, and I wish I would have, because it was absolutely beautiful. At least the camera shots that I saw. But the production was great, the casting was great, and the gameplays were awesome. I would say all the way up until the finals, which kind of reminded me of the Super Bowl.
Right.
Where it was just like a blowout. But other than that, that Envy Optic game or matchup, I thought was super intense, and that's exactly what you would want to see going right into the finals. So I thought overall it ran great, and I loved watching. I wish I could have watched more. Unfortunately, work and all that stuff. But
right, real life things that get in the way.
Life. But you guys can always catch me. My Twitter's at SmitingFatty. I also have a YouTube. Just look up SmitingFatty. It's under my real name, which is Brigham. I know that's weird, but hey. That's my name.
It ain't weird, man. It's a name. There we have it on our screen for you. Thank you for coming on the ESR Daily Update. Guys, we're going to take a quick commercial break. When we return, I'm counting down the top 5 biggest upsets of the tournament. Number 5 just edged out the Rise Nation win over TCM. It's Xfinity and the boys from the UK. Stay tuned. That is coming up. I'll tell you which game it was from that best of 5.